Hey everybody, how we doing? What's up, bro? Hey, this
bro.
is Evan Layton with H-Town Happy Hour.
Derek Diotalevi, H-Town Happy Hour, #1 podcast in the world.
In the world, bro, let them know. And we have our very special guest for you today. We have...
Adonis Alexander, owner of Diverscity Clothing Company.
Yes, sir.
Welcome
Yes,
to the
sir.
building, man. Well, good to have you here, Adonis. Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. So, we get it started off. So we had you at the market over the weekend, didn't we?
Right.
We had you at the market, and I, maybe a little biased opinion, but I thought it was great.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how did you feel about the market?
The market was excellent. It's the biggest market that I know you guys have done it at Post with vendors on both sides. But yeah, especially on a day like Saturday where it's rainy like that, it's no better place to come inside, have food options.
Yes,
you got
sir.
a lot of different things to shop. I mean, it's kind of like the place to be on the weekend.
We faced a little adversity with a lot of rain coming in, but still a very nice crowd.
Yeah.
I'd like to say it wasn't able to rain on our parade.
Oh, no,
It was not able to. It doesn't matter how much rain came in, we were able to persevere.
Let me ask you this. Can you tell us about Diverscity Clothing? What is Diverscity Clothing?
So Diverscity Clothing was a long time coming. Diverscity Clothing was a way for me to control the narrative, so to speak, of Houston, Texas.
Oh, I like that.
And what I mean by that is I'm a native Houstonian, born and raised on the south side of Houston.
Hey, Southside.
And for the longest time growing up, I always felt like Houston in a lot of ways was a bit overlooked, disrespected.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a very geographical person. I love maps, all of that. So you look at the map, it's pretty obvious. New York is East Coast, Chicago is Midwest, LA is West. But when you get to the South, you would hear Miami, Atlanta, New Orleans. And I was like, well, hold on. Houston is the fourth largest city in America. All of those cities I just mentioned are kind of one-dimensional. They do it very, very well.
Yeah.
But they're still one-dimensional. Houston is actually the cultural capital of the South.
Amen.
And we were kind of treated like afterthoughts. You know what I'm saying? And so I grew up kind of like with a somewhat chip on my shoulder when it came to the national media because I felt like they would control a lot of our narrative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of we telling who we are, what we're about, they would be like, this is who you are. And that's important because take a city like New York, for example. To me, they're the masters of controlling their own narrative.
Yeah, it's true.
If you really were telling the truth about New York, you'd say it's the people are possibly rude, it's a little dirty,
dirty. Crime is
overcrowded.
great and crazy.
Overcrowded. But they don't say that, do they? They say it's the city that never sleeps. It's the Big Apple. You can make it in New York. You can make it anywhere. They are the masters of controlling their own narrative.
And something that you said, I was just thinking about. It really brings light to, I think, what gives birth to that Houston. Hey, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm about. It is that underthought, that second thought, like that. We're not gonna give y'all the real time of day, and it's like, please do that because that right there, that overlooking our ability has even made us more of a fiery threat.
Yeah, and Houston has kind of always been a humble city as well. So, take for example the theater district. It's been ranked in the top in the United States for a very long time. But when Houston does something great, they just do it. They don't really talk about it. Dallas does something great. They make sure the whole world knows. Yeah. And so.
That's true.
But really, we've all heard the only good thing to come out of Dallas is I-45 South, That's about it. It's I-45 South, and that's about it.
Man, yeah, Dallas is interesting, but I got to give it to them. They know how to market themselves.
I mean, they're the Cowboys. I mean, they ain't won nothing, and they're still like America's team.
Number one wealthiest franchise in the world, if I'm not mistaken. If they still are, but they're always up there.
I mean, that's literally why we kind of started H-Town Happy Hour, man.
Really?
To shine a spotlight on the city of Houston and show
see,
off all the amazing things.
Amen.
So for the longest time, I didn't really know how to control that narrative. You can't just come out and be like, well, no, we aren't. This is what we are.
You have to show them.
You have to show them in different ways.
Right.
So what I found was in later years that clothing was one of the ways to possibly do that. So take, for example, right there at Westheimer and 610. where the Galleria is. Remember they used to have that adult store right there on the
Yep,
corner?
for sure.
And so they would always, national media would always use that picture as to say, look at how ugly of a city
Yeah.
Houston is.
Yeah,
You got this adult store right in front of this
Galleria, beautiful place.
And I felt like
That ain't us.
that was really them controlling our narrative.
Yeah.
And so I made this shirt. It was one of my original shirts that I made, and it says, Houston, artsy, cultural, diverse, unfiltered, vibrant. I said all of that just to get to that one word, which is unfiltered. Yeah. As to say Houston isn't ugly, it's unfiltered. It's the largest city without zoning laws.
Yep.
You can build anything next to anything, but don't look at that as a problem or something that's ugly. Look at that as a unique. You're not going to get that same experience anywhere. So I just felt like it was about time that we started doing the same thing New York has been doing all along. It's just kind of controlling our own narrative and kind of flipping the script a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like the clothes were a good way to do that, kind of tell the rest of the country, the world, who we are, what we're about, what we got going, what are the best parts of us, without them really knowing that's what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this. You have a few different types of shirts, obviously, that you have, right? And you've been doing this for some time. About how long? How many years?
So the brand has been. I created the brand in 2016 while I was still working a day job at MD Anderson Cancer Center. So that's when I started it. But I actually been doing design since high school. I actually took advertising. So I'm a product of Barbara Jordan High School for Careers. So I took 2 years vocation of advertising design in high school, 0 college education, and just continued to play with it over the years until it actually until I got good enough to where I could put it out there like that.
So let me ask you, when did you know you had something?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, I'm thinking. Cause I originally started, before I did the shirts, I actually started my own like graphic design, like freelance.
Okay.
I called it Adonis Arts. And so basically, if you had a business like H-Town Happy Hour, I would be the guy that, hey, you need a logo, you need the business cards, you need this media.
You go to be basically an asset to people's businesses.
Right. And I like, at the time, I liked the rush of people telling me their ideas and kind of making them come to fruition. But then after a while, I noticed that I could do a lot more if I just took my own ideas, because you get those ideas all the time, and just kind of pushing that and turning it into something, And so I think it was around that time, 2015, 2016, where I started to kind of realize that graphic design was a bigger trade than I ever thought it would be. In the 90s and 2000s. When you went to when you were in school and you went to your counselor and you wanted to look into what was the professions of the future, they would always talk, computer science, all of those things. Graphic design was not one of those things that was really spoken of like that. But then everything went digital, right? Everything went digital.
It was like they were hiding the future from us. Like they knew what it was. Let's mislead y'all this way while graphic design is going to take the wave.
I think what it is too, a lot of people don't realize how much graphic design contains. Like every business needs a graphic designer. Like you all need logo design. You need different implementations of your logo and your design, whether it's for T-shirts or for a sign. Like every business needs some sort of designer. Right,
especially with the everything going digital and everything headed that direction it isn't already.
Yeah,
that's gonna come into play even more. At the time, I would not have thought it was the profession of the future. I like creativity, and that's why I was there. So it just kind of, ended up that way. And as time goes on, there's more things to put graphics on than ever before. I would have never thought I would have lived to see graphics on a electrical box on the curb.
Right.
It's like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to design all that.
And also it kind of seems like this, success doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Not at all.
No, it doesn't.
It's earned, never given.
A lot of the times it's taken by little steps daily to do something better every single day, to recreate a better you from the day before. Like, what can I do today that's going to get me better than I was yesterday? And do you think that's kind of how you took that walk with this idea?
Definitely. Like I said, I was playing around with it for years. So back when, because like I said, I was in high school, 98 to 2002. I graduated 2002. That was around the same time that they were talking about the expansion team of the Texans. And so I I don't know if I've officially submitted anything, but I created 2 expansion teams before they created the Texans.
Wow.
As a project.
What were the names? What was like?
So my name for the Texans was the Houston Hurricanes.
Hey.
I mean, it fits, right?
Well,
and the logo was very similar to how the high school, the Hightower Hurricanes is. But
Okay.
Hightower didn't exist back then.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, okay.
And I also, a lot of people don't know this, but I also made an expansion team for San Antonio. And I called them in the spirit of a team not having to take on the actual name of the city. It could take the name of the region or something there, like the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I called them the River City Rough Riders.
Okay.
And
that
that
was
was
the Guadalupe River running through it.
The
Hey, there you go.
XFL team is the
I know.
Roughnecks.
The
Crazy.
Roughnecks. So they were kind of on. They're kind of on that same.
Cool.
But yeah, so I had been playing around with it, but I don't think I had a lot of confidence. Even though they were looking back, they were good. I just didn't have a lot of confidence in myself that they were good enough to actually put it out there for the rest of the world to see or whatnot. So I would always play with it, but I would never really let anybody see.
You know, that's actually a very common obstacle that a lot of designers face is like the search for perfection, right? Like, and they're scared to put out, not scared, but just like they're hesitant to put out their work because they don't. It's not perfect. How are people going to perceive this?
It's your art, and if people don't like your art, you might get your feelings hurt. You know.
Right.
But you also might want to not. You might want to be like, okay, that's just thank you for the words of, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. But and also talking about not having the confidence sometimes, because I know everybody's had that before they do something, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and talk about your leap of faith and jumping into this.
So my leap of faith, so it was part leap of faith, part coincidence, right?
Awesome.
So like I mentioned, when I started, I was in 2016, I was still working at MD Anderson Cancer Center. And I was actually there in my 14th year there, right out of high school. Things were a little shaky there with their financial situation, so I can kind of see the writing on the wall. So I felt it was a good time to start working a little harder on what I was doing with the brand. So I created the website and I started designing in 2016, but I had no plans of releasing anything because I wanted to have, my number was 12. I wanted to have 12 designs that I was comfortable with before I actually released it, because what I didn't want to release one and then everybody likes it and they're looking for others, and now I'm scrambling to get the others, and now maybe they don't look as good because now I'm, my back is against the wall.
And then you think that they're going to be like, oh, those other 11 just weren't it. You don't
Exactly.
You don't want that thought ever.
Exactly.
Like someone puts out a new album, it's like they got that one song that's really good. You listen to the rest of the CDs, you're like, might not buy another album.
See, and it's funny that you mentioned that. So music is actually my number one skill. I'm actually a trumpet player. And me and my sister, we had our own band back in the day. But music is actually what I apply to everything.
Okay, cool.
So just what you said, that's actually true. You think of it.
Perfect analogy, huh?
You think of it as like a song, an album. If you're gonna, people don't remember how bad the songs were in the middle, but they'll remember if the first song is, what the last one is.
The intro and the outro.
Exactly.
Were they quality or what?
They were.
How it started, how it ended.
Exactly. And actually, one of the first shirts that I created in 2016 was this one, which actually ended up being the all-time bestseller.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And at the time, the HTX Baseball, at the time, I thought
where'd you
it was
get that shirt? Plug your stuff. Where'd you get that shirt, man?
Hey, Diverscity Clothing.
Diverscity Clothing, man. Check them out, guys. He's here on the show.
And see now we see a lot of the space stuff, the Astros are doing, everyone else is doing now. 2016, they didn't have a lot of that. It was still strictly the normal uniforms. Maybe there were the blue ones with the rainbow on the side. The only reference to astronauts were in the 60s with the grounds team at the Dome. So I was looking to kind of get more into the space side of things, and I think they kind of caught on to that, and they started doing more of that themselves. But back to the original question. So 2016, 12 designs. I finally completed those designs around December of 2016, and I did my first pop-up, and it was with the All Access Art Show.
Yeah.
And shout out to those guys over there, Malik and Tajay.
Yeah, I know
but
Malik.
But yeah, they were the first one. They were kind of in their infancy as well, and did their show, got that out the way. Then everything flipped over just a month later. So a month later, I got actually laid off from my job of 14 years.
No.
So that was a shocker. Well, not really, because I mentioned that it was shaky, but you don't expect to be a part of that layoff.
But those are the horror stories.
Well,
those are the horror stories that you hear.
I think it would have been more of a horror story had I not been already working on my stuff. If I didn't have that, then yeah, it'd have been like, because my supervisor didn't even want to look me in the eye. He like had his head turned like that, and I wanted to let him know it's okay. Like I'm like working on this, this stuff or whatnot, and honestly, being laid off is a lot more honorable than being fired. I've never been fired from anywhere, whatnot. So because of this, it was a layoff. I actually got 4 months of severance. Yeah. If you remember correctly, in 2017, so laid off in January. That very next month, remember the Super Bowl was coming that year. So that was going to give a platform for a lot of the, whatever I had going on to be seen if I chose the right spot. So I actually set up in Midtown during the Super Bowl. That went over well. It wasn't bad. I'm just trying to, learning who my customers are, who I need to market to, this, that, and the other. Things didn't change until that, I want to say that, like around March or April. So there was a pop-up for the Super Bowl called Launch that was put on by Houston First Corporation, and they created that so that people could shop local Houston goods right there at Super Bowl Live.
Awesome.
But they decided after the Super Bowl to keep it around and rotate the designers every like 3 months.
So the people who were orchestrating the Houston's launch?
Houston First Corporation.
Houston First, okay.
That's over
Visit
there.
Houston. It's the marketing arm of the city of Houston.
Awesome. Awesome.
Visit Houston.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, I applied, but I was too late. I didn't get in for the Super Bowl. But because I had applied, when they decided to keep around, they called me up, and they decided that they were going to have me, I believe, for the months of June through August, June, July, August. But before that April, obviously the Astros season was going to be starting. I had high expectations for them. I had my designs. So I was actually looking for a place to set that up close to the stadium, and I ended up getting with the ownership over at the 8060 group that owned the HTX Fan Tavern right across the street. So I got with those guys, and it was a great fit. I ended up setting up there with them for the next 3 years, 3 seasons. But basically, I was there for every game. They let me set up there. I was there for opening day. Opening day at the tavern was the first time I ever saw anybody wear my shirt in public.
Beautiful.
Just randomly.
Somebody walked
Isn't
up.
that a great feeling?
I had to take a picture with them. I was like, man, that's the first time I ever saw my shirt worn in public. And it was for opening day. And when he was walking up, I was just kind of looking at him to see what his vibe was, and he looked proud. He felt like he was standing out amongst his friends, like
awesome.
He had something special.
He had something to say on his shirt.
And I had to, I'm looking at him like, man, that's amazing.
Did he recognize you, or did you?
Nobody knew who I was then.
Oh, dope.
Which I didn't expect anybody to.
Right.
But yeah, I let him know the situation. We took a picture, and that was that. So I'm there setting up, all the games over there. By June, I'm inside Launch. And then obviously we know what happened come October. The Astros in the playoffs, they go all the way. By that time, they brought me back for a second time at Launch. October, November, I went from getting about 50, 60 hits to the website to October, November, 60 to 80,000.
Wow.
It took off within a few days.
I mean, I think it credit to you too, right? I think a big part of it is you kept the momentum going. Like you went from the Super Bowl to the Astro season starting, and you were in the hot spaces. You said the HTX Fan Tavern. Like, I think that's a nod to you, bro, to kind of be able to surf the wave.
Yeah, and it was the pressure was on a little bit because I had never been quote unquote unemployed, and one of my close friends told me, if you can do what you're doing while working, just imagine if you had that entire 8 hours dedicated to it. So when I got that 4-month severance package, I got 4 months to see what I can really do, or else I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so let me ask you. You say you were out there and you did as much as you could, and once you got off, you got the laid off and everything, and you were full force in this Diverscity Clothing. What sort of team aspect did you have? Any people around you that were kind of helping towards the good, or were you more just like, hey man, I got to get this at all costs? And so what sort of team did you kind of have around?
So basically, I've been a solo operation this entire time, and I've been able to feed off mentors and those who I've worked around. That, I mean, when you get into entrepreneurship, especially with a lot of the other designers and businesses, you kind of feed off each other a lot. Yeah. And also Sydney Dow, who's the retail director at Houston First, she was a big mentor. She's the one who set me up with that year I was in launch. Those few months, she set me up on Great Day Houston. She awesome. They put out a pamphlet to the downtown businesses of who had what they were selling, and that was actually picked up by Phoenicia Specialty Foods in downtown. So I actually have items in their beer and wine section, and they've been my biggest wholesale buyer for the last 4 or 5 years or so. So
being in Phoenicia is huge. Like, Phoenicia is the downtown grocery store.
It's like the only one, right?
It's the only one.
And it's a spectacular store. And,
Lots
and
of traffic.
Bodes well with the brand because of all the diverse stuff they have in there.
Yeah.
It was just a really, really good match. And we've been working together with the family there. And it's been amazing, So I give that to Sydney. She's been a good mentor. My other mentor was actually the late Andre Jacobs, who owned Londonberry Apparel.
Okay.
He wasn't really known much in Houston, but that's because he had a clothing line called Londonberry, but he sold his items in like Saks in Manhattan, Saks Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's called Barnaby's.
Barnaby's.
A lot of those different places, but he was stationed here, and he was actually one of those months. He was actually one of the vendors inside of Launch.
Cool.
Just because, and that's how we met and kind of hit it off that way. And that's one of the things that a program like that provided. You get in there and you're getting with other people in the same situation. And what I would say to others aspiring to be entrepreneurs is, a lot of time, all it is just really opening the door and walking through it. Yeah. When you walk through it, other doors open.
Yeah.
But if you never walk through it, you stay where you are, right?
Exactly.
That was one of my finishing questions. Just so you know.
Yep.
What are one of the things you would tell someone else wanting to do this? You just took my finishing question, all right?
I mean, that's all, I mean, so much of it was just that. You just had the courage to open the door and walk through it,
So let me ask you this. On top of that, with that piece of advice right there, what that was going to lead into is, what are some of the struggles and obstacles that you've had?
Oh, man. So things were cruising. Oh, boy.
Like, over the past 10 years, since 2016, whenever this thing was full ride, what are some of the big hurdles that you were able to, without just happened? Like, what are some?
Okay, so that same year, man, you're not gonna believe this, right? So that same year, so during the Astros playoff run, I believe it was that October, I was inside Launch, and one of the things that Launch allows you to do is to have a trunk show that, is your party. You had your drinks, everything, have everybody come out, showcase a new line. So this was going to be my first trunk show. Real excited about it. It was going to be indoors, so you ain't got to worry about the weather. Y'all know how coordinated events get.
Yeah.
So
they're not raining on our parade. They don't let them rain on yours.
The parking garage is attached to the building, so nobody got to walk outside to get in there. I had my sister DJing. I bought all the catered food from Phoenicia. It was going to be really, really nice. I thought about everything, right?
Like, did all the bells and whistles marked and cross all your I's and T's? Yeah.
I just stayed up at night like, what else? Because I didn't want anything to be missing. Nothing's going to deter this. Couple of days before the event, I look at my phone. Guess what's coming?
Harvey.
Hurricane Harvey.
Damn.
Oh.
Wow. Like really? Like really?
Yeah. Oh, what?
And you just hope it's gonna miss, right? But then you look at every projection. No, it's coming straight for us.
Yeah. No, it's got us in its crosshairs. It's right. It's hot and heavy.
And it stopped on us.
and that
go over. It stopped.
That was my first real taste of adversity, where I felt like there was nothing I could do.
Right.
And you might have moments like that where you feel like there's nothing you could do. But I knew for sure when that happened that I had seen it all. and the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And once that happened, I was like, you know what? You think it can't get worse.
Let me just thank God for what we have now. Let me thank God for what we have right this second, right?
I couldn't believe it, man.
I think too, like there's like your preparation is key, right? Planning, like especially doing events ourselves and stuff, and hearing your story on this one, like that's the goal, right? I've thought of everything. Right. I have thought of everything, and that's just it. That's how life works, right? You could plan as much as you want, but things aren't always gonna go as planned. And I think a big part of any business or entrepreneur or anything is being fluid, right? Being adaptable, being flexible, knowing how to roll with the punches.
You at least like I had never been in a situation where there was nobody to blame.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
There's nobody to blame. It's just like, well, dang, you know, like,
His name is
what can you do? You know, like, it's nobody's fault.
Right.
Look at Keisha. Why weren't you there earlier with the lemons? We needed the lemons. You know, you can't blame no one except for, hey, man, there's things that are out of our control that.
I would have never thought about how to prepare for a pandemic. I had never lived through one.
Let me ask you this: with your launch event or the trunk show, did you just change your date, or how did you approach that?
So yeah, I changed the date, and granted, I had spent I had already spent like $5 or $6 grand on social media ads.
Yeah.
Ads for the original event.
Yep.
So obviously that goes down the drain. So I had to start it back up again. But yeah, we did it again. I kind of always wonder what the turnout would have been had the original event happened the way it was supposed to happen. But we still got a World Series out of it, you know, that year. So that made up for it.
It's kind of like you win some, you lose some. We're still putting on for the city. We took a loss, now we're up.
So you know, it's something I have learned throughout my career as well in marketing and events and everything is like lesson learned, right? How do you so it's easy as a marketer for an event to just want to promote that event, but like something I always try to think about is if a date does ever change, which I don't ever want to change the date of an event, period. That's bad luck. But how can I retain that audience, right? So I don't know, just food for thought too, that I try to do it. And I even break my own rules sometimes. I forget to do it, but create an RSVP, an Eventbrite, right? RSVP, like, because you spend those monies on social media advertising, right? If there wasn't that like objective, like actual CTA, like call to action attached to it, you kind of, if that date changes, you lose all that marketing dollars.
That's true.
So
that's a good point.
I tell you, the first two H-Town markets we did, I did not have an Eventbrite. And we just launched the next one this morning, and I was like, you know what?
Get your tickets now.
I need to practice what I preach. We created an Eventbrite for this next one, just so people can RSVP, and you know, just for anyone watching, just like a little golden nugget, right? Not only that they can RSVP, but for all the marketing dollars we put behind the H-Town market, the single day, like now I have these RSVP, these email list. I'm building the email list for it, right?
The email list is so underrated.
So underrated.
Still.
It is.
I mean, it's your database for what you're working on. I mean, literally, it's your whole pipeline of people. Your what is it? The CRM is what they call it. I mean, I don't want to downgrade it to that, but I mean, it's your information for everyone who saw what you've done, who believed in it, and who's there, and they can touch back on them whenever you have another market coming up.
Yep.
Another one coming up. Whenever something else is happening. And it is. It's a golden nugget. Yeah. It's one of those things that you just have to have in your back pocket.
I mean, it's the place where all the people who are your customers reside.
Exactly.
And your customers could be somebody else's customer. I mean, that's why the information is so valuable. Maybe more valuable than the platform.
Well, and a lot of the times what people think that is that, oh, they already bought with me, we're not going to need them again. You know, they already bought, they're here. And it's like, no, you have to maintain a relationship with your customers because they are buyers.
Right.
And if you don't maintain that, they're going to buy with someone else.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And you have to give them
That's
value.
a relationship.
Right, exactly. And maintaining that bond with these people, like, you know, even people messaging us like, hey, you know, at the event, they're talking about, hey, you know, we really want to come out to the next one. We like what y'all are doing. This is so great. That right there.
Right.
You know, like, hey, they see the value, they want to come back. Like that right there. I mean, it just makes all the difference.
Yeah.
You know, for the buyer, the seller, for the vendor trying to sell to the customers coming in, they want to feel like what they're purchasing is worth value.
Well, too,
Exactly.
I think any business wants repeat customers, right? That's like,
Man, so what I did, I don't think I mentioned it, but I always chose experience over college. And I might still go to college for certain things as well, but I had never even, I had done nothing in retail. I had done nothing in retail. I hadn't even worked the cash register before. So what I did was, instead of like going to school, I actually took a job working at Sears in Memorial City
Sears.
Mall.
Okay,
As a
okay.
sales associate. So I could get
Awesome.
retail experience while working on those designs back in 2016.
Okay.
And Sears had such an old school way of that had worked for them for so long, but they were really all about their whole shop your way, building that relationship with the customer and all of that.
Did it feel real? Did it feel real
What
back
part?
then? Like, I mean, you're like, they'll build a relationship with the client, but you're kind of like, all right, Sears, like, thanks for the heads up.
So yes and no. I think part of it kind of led to their demise as well. But what they would do is, you know, you put in your info, that old school way, put in your number and all that, and anytime you buy something, you get points, and then you can redeem those points and get stuff for it or whatnot. And their whole thought was, you don't want somebody to just buy one time. You want to establish a relationship to where they keep coming. So,
But a lot of people just wanted to buy one time from Sears and never go back.
kind of, but people also like to know that they're winning. When they're making purchases, they want to know that they've won the sale.
Okay, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you on that.
And see, that's what I took away from it.
Okay, cool.
So it may not have been necessarily that what they were excelling at was getting the number and the information. The point was how they were trying to make the customer feel. They wanted the customer to feel like, if you continue to shop with us, there's benefits to that.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think
Exactly.
that was the point.
You know, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily told me like this, but I've just know that after I've got done with transactions, sometimes I'm like, yo, I don't like the way I felt after buying that. Like I just don't like, I mean, yeah, I got the good, but honestly, the guy was just a schmuck who sold it to me. I really don't. Thanks for the truck, bro, but I don't like how I feel right now.
Exactly.
know?
It's a reason why you feel better after you get out of the Chick-fil-A line, even though you were in there around the
My
corner.
pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
That you-
Thank you. Yes, sir. Anything. Yeah, exactly. It makes a difference.
People,
it really does.
They shop with places about how they feel, right? There's a saying.
Especially today.
Yeah.
What is that? Is this saying to that? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's a saying out there, and I don't know the exact saying right now, so I don't want to quote it. But
Well,
it's
spotlight's
like,
on you, bro.
People don't shop with I forget the exact saying, but basically that's what it is. They remember how you made them feel, and they want to spend their money with people that they feel good spending it with.
And what I've noticed is when you make a person feel that way when they've shopped with you, not only do they continue to shop for you, but they're going to tell others.
Yeah.
And not only they're going to tell you others, what I didn't realize is if anybody starts talking down about you, they're going to you don't have to say anything. They're going to come and defend you.
Right.
Oh no, that's my brand. That's where I shop.
Right.
No, you got it all right.
Like you-
just the same way they defend LeBron James or
Right.
whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'll do the same thing.
Which that's the greatest feeling as a business owner is
Right.
you go to stand up for yourself and you realize someone a customer or someone you know is standing up for you. It's just
Right.
like, damn.
You made them feel something.
Yeah.
You know, ever since you said Chick-fil-A, I've been wanting a sandwich. I don't know what it is about Chick-fil-A. Ever since you said that, I was like, a nice lemonade and a spicy with pepper jack. And, you know, let's just give Chick-fil-A its credit. What is it about Sunday that makes us want Chick-fil-A so much? What is it?
I think it might be good marketing
Yeah.
because you don't get it on Sunday.
Right.
It makes you want it more.
Yeah.
And they get to
absolutely
have
does.
lower payroll.
Yeah.
And they get to have that day off.
It
there.
is God's day. All right, it is God's day. Okay, let's just.
But look, where they're closed, you see Raising Cane's takes up that slack on Sunday,
Yeah.
and they stay open a little later.
And then they sell the whole party trays of chicken strips. You'll see those big, it's like the big ones.
So even if you can't be Coke, it pays to be Pepsi.
Yep. For sure.
I heard something interesting about Pepsi.
What?
So have y'all seen those the Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut combinations? Have y'all ever seen like this? Like, oh, why is there a Taco Bell KFC Have you ever seen the combined locations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like it's a Taco Bell and a KFC. WTF? All right, I'll take a bucket and a chalupa. You know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Apparently, so Pepsi has the contract with those companies. So Coke can't sell them, and they're like, "Well, we need to sell more Pepsi. How do we sell more Pepsi?"
Interesting.
And so what they did was Pepsi said, "Well, instead of having more locations of Taco Bell, we're just going to buy all 3 of these and put them in multiple locations so we can just sell the Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew." That's why at Taco Bell, you'll never get Dr. Pepper or Coke. That's why at KFC, you'll never.
It's all about the drink, huh?
It's all about the soda carbonated, sugary drinks. Yes, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are juggernauts, my friend. They're like, yeah, we bought.
I believe that. I believe that. Do you know what my favorite business movie is? Shockingly,
What's up?
The Founder.
The McDonald's one?
The McDonald's one.
Such an underrated movie, dude. I learned so much from that movie. So many people don't even know it existed. With, what's his name? Michael Keaton, right?
Keaton.
It was amazing.
That movie blew my mind because I'm surprised they would give some of the information that they gave in the movie.
Yeah.
But I took away from that movie that you can be in one profession, but it may not be necessarily the profession that you're in. You might be selling burgers when really, like you said in the movie, you're in real estate.
Right. That's just it. McDonald's is not in
It's not burgers and fries, bro.
Fries. It's a real estate company. It's a franchise, and so every different location is ran by someone else, but they're paying the McDonald's corporation rent every month.
Right.
So it's crazy theory.
So Whack Arnold's got it figured out for sure.
Man, but I felt like that what they did in that movie or what they showed, you could apply that to a lot of different things.
stuff.
I 100%. And it's just, whether it's McDonald's or Pepsi, you guys are juggernauts in the business world for sure. Yeah. So talk about this. What are some of your plans here in the future for Diverscity Clothing? What sort of things do you have on the up and up for y'all? What's next?
So definitely working on establishing the storefront this year. So I actually had
like a brick and mortar store.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking at Post. I'm also looking at MKT.
Look at Post, huh?
Let's not dive too deep into that because it's not too public.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Joe, can we cut that out, bro?
No, we're good. We'll keep going though.
But yeah, just looking at different spots for the storefront now that this is actually the first complete year that the pandemic would have been gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people forget that January, February last year we were still in it.
Right,
pretty
much.
much.
Sure were.
So I actually had a co-op store in the Galleria back in 2019 and 2020. Actually, 2 of them. And the co-op went in a city center that were temporary, and those contracts were up right when the pandemic, 5 days before the pandemic shut everything down.
Yeah.
So I haven't revisited that until this year. Now that everything's back established, so definitely working on seeing about the storefront space. Definitely one of the places that I want to get the brand established ultimately is actually the airport.
Yeah,
the terminal.
that'd be huge.
Awesome.
Bro. That'd be huge.
So I'm working on that.
Hey, they just got rid of Papa Do's. Might as well.
They were
another Houston-based guys.
They were going at it with the food.
Yeah, to be honest, man, they're bringing on a lot of Houston businesses to replace that.
A lot of local.
It's not. Everything is in the news, right? It makes this news cycle.
And they're slandering Papas.
Right.
Yeah.
They're making Papas, 3 sides to every story, right?
Right.
There's your side, my side, and then
Truth.
the truth, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, they're not getting rid of like a Houston business. Just for corporate. Like they're actually all the places that they're bringing in. I think it's like 60 plus businesses in the real estate that Papa's had. They're replacing that with 60 plus Houston-based businesses,
right. And a lot of them are local too.
I was going to say,
exactly.
and so what are we? And it's like, what? Isn't it time we let the new guys get in here and try Papa Do's? Papa Do's, can you get off the block? Let some new people come in and try to make a name for it. So
that is true.
Yes.
You can put a lot more of Houston's personality.
Correct, because Papa's. Let's just be real. They dominated for a long time, did they not? They've dominated the food industry. They have so many locations, and it's kind of like, all right.
I mean, and they're still going to be fine not having a location in Bush Intercontinental Airport. They're still going to be fine.
Do what?
Though too far away. I said they're still going to be fine not having a. They're still going to be fine not having a location. Like Pappas is still going to be a successful business,
no matter what.
Even though they lost the location at the airport.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, but I want to dive more into this. So what is that process like? Like how getting into the airport? That's a great idea, bro.
So I actually
Houston visitors, yes.
I actually had an offer on the table back in March of 2020 that the pandemic actually blew up.
Yeah.
So actually at the moment, I'm not sure if the process has changed or not, but that's something I got to follow up on to see who's actually in charge of that. So if anybody knows anything, let me know.
Yeah. I want to tap back into a few of the things we were talking about earlier too. Like, so I know a big part of your business is doing these activations and markets and stuff like that. How much of your business do you say comes from that?
Probably, well, since I closed the storefront, I'd say 80%.
Yeah. And then the rest is online sales and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So how do you hear about these different markets and stuff? Or
I mean, really, there's only, how do you say this?
Yeah.
There's only really about maybe 5, 6, 7 market managers for the entire city.
Yep.
Like I know after the pandemic, there was a lot of markets that popped up. Everybody had to do outdoor events, all of that.
Yeah.
But the real ones.
Yeah. With staying power.
Right. Yeah. You stay there. The ones who are just kind of trying to do it, they'll fall off easily after everything gets a little rough.
Yeah.
So it's really, when the smoke clears, it's only really like 5, 6, 7, and each of those market managers do multiple events everywhere. Some of them some of them do most of the breweries, Carbox, St. Arnold's, all of that. Some of them do corporate offices. Everybody has kind of like their lane. So if you know those 5 or 6, you pretty much know all the events going on in the city.
Yeah. I think this is a great kind of introduction for any business owner, is the whole market idea in general. Like it's it's an investment, right? You pay $75, $100, $150 to be a part of a market, but it's a way for you to test your product.
Exactly.
Right?
The information is very what's that word I'm looking for? Valuable. Yep.
Yeah. See.
Because once you know who your people are, then you know where to go and how to market it.
And also test what you're worth with your product.
Yes.
Like, can you put it in front of somebody and collect?
Can you sell your product?
Correct. Can you put it in front of somebody and make a transaction for what you believe in?
Yeah, that's true.
This is your opportunity to make your own. That's why we like to give out bags at the market. We're trying to help other people make bags. Make your bag, buddy.
I was right there looking at those bags. You know what? Those bags look. I might need to make a couple of those.
Yeah, man. We're trying to secure the bag.
Shopping.
We're giving out bags for
Everyone's
free.
shopping them. They use it. You got your logo on them. Boom.
Right.
They're marketing it, right? That's a marketing expense to us. I think another thing another little tip of advice is these doing this, the market, it's not just even, obviously at the end of the day, it's how much sales can you do as a vendor up there, like as a business owner, right? But I think it has residual effects. Like you're building your brand, get people to follow your social medias, like to start to kind of curate that customer relationship we were talking about with earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one, yes, make the sales, but 2, think of it like, how can I capitalize on this after the market's gone, after that event is gone?
Yeah.
How can I engage with these customers on a
Consistent basis.
On a consistent basis and on different levels, right?
Right. So let me ask you this, Adonis. Moving forward, what are some of the golden nuggets that you would put out in the world that you've learned as far as since 2016 starting Diverscity Clothing? What are some of the golden nuggets that you hold on to that help you keep moving forward?
One of them that comes to mind is, how do you say this? I'll give you an example. I had during that Astros World Series, the first one, that run, when I got that 60 to 80,000 hits to the website that I mentioned, that 60 to 80,000 hits to the website created, if you can imagine, several emails of people, with their questions, with this, that, and the other. So the only way I was able as a one person show to to take that on is because at the time I had my website set to drop shipping.
Yeah.
So I had drop shipping take care of a lot of that, but you still had a lot of in between, to work out this, that, and the other. And so I remember I had this customer. She worked at NASA, and she wanted the shirt. A lot of, Amazon has kind of spoiled people into thinking like, if I buy this now, it's going to show up tomorrow.
Why isn't it here now?
Or if I buy it now, can I go pick it up in 3 hours? Or something like that.
We forget that 7 to 8, 10 business days is the standard.
Right. So some folks, they'll a lot of folks will get upset if it can't come right away, especially with, they won, the parade is coming, they want to wear it here, they want to wear it there. And some customers stood out, more than others. It's really aggressive,
Yeah.
So I had this one customer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had this one customer. She was like, I want to say I can't remember exactly. I want to say she even started crying.
Oh no.
And I was just trying to comfort. But then she was even willing, because she couldn't come to any of the pop-ups. She really wanted it so that she can take pictures at work the next day. I found out later that they were taking group photos in the shirts. I didn't even know they had them at NASA.
Oh wow.
Oh,
but that's
wow.
I'll speak on that later.
Oh.
But she wanted to be a part of the picture. She stayed all the way in the Heights, and at the time I was staying in Fresno. And she woke up early in the morning, because I told her, okay, if you really want this, I'll leave it on the porch.
Cool.
She drove all the way to Fresno to pick up this shirt, and then took the back way all the way to NASA just so she could have this shirt.
Yeah.
And at first, like that whole time leading up to that, I would be like, man, like, why are they so aggressive? Why are they doing that? And then I realized, like the McDonald's story, how the McDonald's, they were like, this is what's happening versus what's actually happening.
Right.
That's what I took from that. So
Okay.
I stopped and I said to myself, don't think of it as, oh, they've been mean, they've been aggressive.
Right.
When a person has an emotional response to your product, that means you've won.
Yeah.
And I had to look at that differently. I was looking at the outer shell of that, and I was looking at what was really
You were looking
happening.
at you were looking at it on the first level type of viewing of. You're like,
Right.
man, why is she
Like,
so
man.
aggressive for this shirt? And secondly, whenever you can remove yourself from the situation and see a bird's eye view, you're like, oh, this woman was in love with the shirt. Whenever she purchased it, she wants it ASAP.
Right.
Plus, you never know what's going on with someone else at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like for her,
You
she
never-
had
you
no
never know
objective.
what's
She was
going
trying
on.
to get. She needed it for this NASA shoot. She
Right.
wanted to have explain all that. I need the shirt now.
Right, and then I found out later, and that's another thing too. Never underestimate who your customers are, where they're going with it.
Yeah.
Either. So I found out later they were taking group photos in it, and apparently it was a big deal at
NASA.
like they had the shirts on, this and the other. So that was during the Astros playoff run. Tell me why by December, the best-selling shirt ended up on the International Space Station.
Wow.
No way.
And there's a whole video on YouTube of astronaut Joe Acaba wearing it while they have making pizza floating in space. No other T-shirt brand can say they've done
like
this.
that, bro. You can't pay for marketing like that.
You can't. That is next level type. Like, here it is. Here's your sign. This
Right.
is just you're here. You're here. Keep grinding. You're
So
here.
I see too. You mentioned you used to drop ship, but kind of how you phrase that. Do you not drop ship anymore?
So I do drop ship. I just try to do it a little less
Yeah.
because it is more pricey.
Yep.
But just like we were talking about the information, the good thing about the drop shipping is when I design something, it allows me to see exactly what the market is for that before mass producing.
Yeah, exactly. Investing in mass production.
Exactly. So if it gets a lot of interest,
Sales and interest,
then I'll go and I'll know I need to print more of those locally, whatnot, and provide some more things on there as well. So yeah, just trying to. It's like I've kind of used it.
Yeah.
To my advantage, just to get the information. Now that I have it, I can do it a little bit less, but still use it when needed.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. So, all right, and so now I'm going to revisit back one of my closing questions that you answered earlier. But what is some information you would tell others about doing this, other than opening the door and walk through it? Give us some other good ones, man.
I'd say, I think the biggest thing is to be genuine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, how do you
Speak it.
We live in a very surface level
I used to think
world.
you have to be a certain way to sell things to people.
You don't.
And what I've learned is people like
You,
the raw,
who you are.
who you are, raw
Authenticity.
and authentic.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to realize, you know, like I mentioned before, all those years leading up to it, I wasn't really confident in my designs. I mean, there's people out here that maybe all they do is sell straws. There's a difference between selling straws to the place on the corner or putting a straw in every restaurant in America.
Yeah.
You
know what I'm saying?
It was so funny. I got a horchata at a taco spot the other day, and like the straw came crushed, and like I put it in my drink, and I
got the
pulled it
little
out. No. It was just like flattened. It was like a flattened
Oh, man.
straw, and I was like, "Oh, is this a new kind of straw? This is unique." I was like, "This is what a concept." I mean, you know, it's all circular. It goes in the hole. This one's flat, and it was like, no, it's just crushed, man.
It's just
Here's
crushed.
another straw. Oh, well, maybe, hey, let's make $1 million, bro.
And it took me a while to learn that, like, it doesn't matter if you like what you have or not. Somebody's going to like it. You just got to find out who they are and just gear it that way. That's pretty much all it is.
Absolutely.
And you know, and you can take things as far as you want to go, as much work as you want to put into it. But that's the main thing I realize is people always know why. Because people are going to always ask you what your motivation is and why.
Yeah.
So when you're going about it, always make sure you answer it to yourself.
Yeah,
like,
for
why
sure.
am I doing this? What is the reasons?
Yep.
You know-
What's my motivation behind it? And let it be genuine.
Bro,
you know?
hey, people, God bless it, people will do business with you just off your why.
Yeah,
They will
exactly.
do business with you just off your why. So you never know, you know, don't be real with your why. I remember even whenever we were selling shirts at the market just the other day, you know, I ended up talking to this guy. He was like, you know, him and his children were walking by. I flagged the shirt out after I gave him a bag, and I was like, hey, fresh shirt, printed off you. He's like, hey, I've been living in Houston for 46 years. I love what I'm seeing with this. This is awesome. Y'all are doing for the city. He's like, tell me, what is H-Town Happy Hour? Man,
Yeah.
me and my buddy, a couple Houston hard hitters out here trying to do something big. That's really it. And we've been putting work in this. And I told him the whole story about what we've been doing while we're here. And he's like, man, I have... here, how much for the shirt? I'll buy one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to my kid. I appreciate what y'all are doing.
See, and see, I feel like what you just mentioned is a big deal because I feel like it didn't used to be that way. I feel like if you had something that wasn't name brand, they always refer to you no matter what is this is the off brand.
Yeah.
You got name brand, you got off brand.
That's
And
a marketing technique to sell the name brands, though.
Exactly.
That's
but
all.
but somewhere along the lines, I feel like people started to realize
The fakery.
that you know when you mass produce stuff, there's not a lot of personality in it, and now people are there. They want to know the why and the how and
Exactly.
the purpose and thought behind it and all
It's-
that. And the national brands can give you that.
Exactly.
There's so many national brands are trying to look like small businesses. It's crazy.
Right. You're so dead on. It's crazy how the world's came back
Crazy.
around. Like shop local is yet it's a thing now.
Yeah.
Like, people want to buy local.
They have to
want
look like
get-
us in order to stay relevant.
Right. It's crazy.
They're scared.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing. They're scared. That's why they're changing their marketing ideas to try to keep up with what's new.
Well, and they're adapting, right?
Yeah,
They're
they
trying
are.
to adapt. They're being flexible.
I remember if you had a food truck, you know, your whole thing was working your way up to a brick and mortar. But then I would see like brick and mortars applying for food trucks so they could get out there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They're flipping the script
Like you
on
be
them,
looking
man.
at this stuff and you're like,
Crazy.
well, man, like how times have changed.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it really is. It really is.
I mean, yeah, no, it's like it's all full circle, man. It's like the grass is always greener on the other side, right? But in reality, it's green where you water it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The food truck owners want a brick and mortar. The brick and mortar are like, yo, I need a food truck to get to the customers.
Yeah.
The small business, I want to make a huge business. But the big businesses are like, how can we make it look like we're still local? We're in the trenches.
Yeah.
It's
As
crazy.
they
Exactly.
spend millions of dollars on advertising.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, one of the final questions. I know you said that you had 12 concepts, right?
Yeah,
that
12
was
designs, yeah.
12 designs. Mm-hmm. Do you still have those same 12, or have you expanded out to like 36, 48?
So it has expanded, but with those 12, the thing about those 12 is that in order for them to be a part of those 12, they had to be timeless.
Yeah.
So however relevant they are today, I expect them to be relevant 30 years from now because nothing on it is just for a phase or a certain time. It's timeless.
Trendy.
Like this which is one of the
that
part
could
of
be
12.
forever. Yeah.
It's always going to be Space City. It's
Yeah.
always going to be Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, everything in there is going to be timeless. So that was my whole deal with the first 12 is I wanted it to always be relevant. And like I mentioned, like a place like the airport, where you have new customers every day, it just would gel together so well.
Yeah.
So that's why that's one of the goals. But then after that, I played around with things that also are times a bit, maybe some of it may be a little bit more for the time as well, kind of mix that in there. But as long as I have those 12 that are like the staples, I kind of call them the magnificent 12.
I like it,
And
yeah.
then you just kind of have those other ones
The
that kind
supporting
of
cast
that
to
kind
it.
of go along with what's happening at the time and,
Yeah.
and so forth, so on.
Awesome. Awesome. And what's the best way for people to reach out to you? One more time.
So definitely Instagram. We're definitely on there. Diverscity. Remember to spell it Diverscity. I wanted the name to really describe
Cool.
the city. So it's,
Yeah.
you can either say diversity or diverse city. It's a little play on words with
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
So that's ground zero. So the
That's number one. Number two.
Instagram. And then you also have the website as well with the same name. And I'll post on Instagram where we're setting up for the pop-ups. We're actually doing the pop-up today at Little Woodrow's Edo. And,
Okay, cool.
and we're doing Little Woodrow's Edo for all the Astros games this season. So that's kind of replacing the tavern now that the tavern is torn
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So that's our connection to the Astros fans. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We're definitely going to be at Post every
Yes,
month
sir.
as
So,
well.
for what?
Yes,
The
sir.
H-Town Market?
H-Town Happy Hour.
Brought to you by
H-Town
H-Town Happy Hour, baby.
Hey, well, thank you for coming on the show, taking the time out of the day.
definitely.
Especially you got a market about to hit too, man. This
Hey,
has
gotta
been a
get it,
great
man.
This has
episode.
been awesome, bro.
Yeah.
This has been great, man. Good work today, bro.
Cool.
Good work today. Adonis, thank you so very much.
Hey, thanks for
and
having
stay
me.
tuned for the next episode, guys. Coming soon.
All right.